Interesting story about Ricardo Montalban. I got hired as a dancer to do a picture called Latin Lovers with Ricardo Montalban and Lana Turner. And came on the set the first day to start rehearsing a dance number, and Lana and Ricardo came in. Ricardo came in and introduced himself to, I think there was 6 of us, 6 guys and 6 girls, introduced himself to all of us, and we introduced to him. The next morning when he came on the set, he remembered every one of our names. Came around, and I thought, this is incredible. I want to be like this guy. This is class. And I didn't see him again for probably 3 years until he was on a riverboat, and when I walked on the set, he remembered me from, I came to see Bert one day or something. I was doing Laramie. He remembered me from dancing as a dancer in that movie. What a man.
Yeah, neat guy.
Yeah.
One of the things you were talking about, you and Bert on the hayride. Did you, like Bert, did you do a lot of your stunts?
Oh, I did them all. Probably 99%. I think I've been doubled twice in all the years I've done anything. You want to hear another Burt Reynolds story?
Sure, why not?
Now we're doing Laramie, and he's doing Riverboat, and we're getting up there a little bit. And again, big fan magazine stuff. And that they're going to have this big party at Johnny Mathis's house in Beverly Hills. And Bert and I are invited to it. It's going to be a big photo play type of thing. Yvette Mimeo again. Fabian is there. We know who Fabian is. Fabian hasn't got the faintest idea who Burt Reynolds and Robert Fuller are anyway. So we're having a great time. Troy Donahue was there. So, big Hollywood type of thing. So all of a sudden, Bert comes over and he says, come here, look, I want you to see something. And I said, what? So we're going around the corner, a little room like this. Fabian is sitting at a chair, playing the guitar and singing. There's about 20 girls just laying on the floor like this in front of Fabian watching this going on. And we looked, and we said, shit. I said, let's kidnap him. And Bert says, let's go. Let's take him. We'll run in there. We'll grab him, throw him over our shoulder, run outside, put him in the car, and drive off. And I said, go. We ran in. We grabbed Fabian, threw him over our shoulder, ran out. He's screaming like a kid. He has no idea who we are. Threw him in the car and drove away. And finally, he was scared to death. We finally calmed him down and explained what was going on and brought him back. But that's Bert. He likes to do stuff like that.
Yeah, that's Bert. Back to the stunt thing. So I know the producers were like, this is great, but it's also like, you never got hurt doing your own stunt?
Unfortunately, I did. I broke my leg, the main bone in my ankle in 3 places, but it was my fault. I was doing a fight scene with another stuntman, and the scene, he throws a spear at me, and I parry it, and he picks me up and throws me over his shoulder, and I go on my back on a breakaway table and 4 breakaway chairs. It was Hal Needham. You've heard of Hal Needham. I always used Hal. Whenever I was going to fight with anybody, another actor, I would have Hal double that guy because he and I could fight pretty good together. I trusted him a lot. So anyway, we did the first take late in the evening. Morgan Woodward was on the set in the show, too. He flips me up, and I go over on my back, and I only break half the table and 2 chairs. And being a dumb, macho guy, I said, I don't like that. I wanted to go in the middle. I wanted to break everything and make it look more. I said, can we do it again? And the assistant director said, we got about 15 minutes before overtime, and we wrap. If you can set it up and do it, go. So I told her, I said, let's go. Set this thing up so we can shoot it again real quick. I didn't look. I didn't do anything. Here, we do the fight scene. I go up in the air. I break 3 balsa wood chairs and hit my leg on a real one. They put a real chair in, and I didn't go around and check it. And Morgan Woodward said it sounded like a gunshot when my leg broke. And I knew my leg was broke before I hit the ground. And I immediately called my stand-in, and I said, get your pocket knife and cut this boot off right now. Because the leg was just going like that. Broken 3 places in the main. There's no, first of all, most of the actors in Hollywood right now can't spell horse, and are all liberals anyway. So, but I just thought I'd throw that in. Alive anymore that could direct a good Western. There's no writers. That's the most important thing, having a good writer to write your Western. the only ones that are left alive. Paul Savage, but Paul's in his 90s, and even if he wrote a script, there's nobody that's going to buy it today. And it would be very expensive to do a Western today. And on top of it, there's no horses anymore. When we were doing all those Westerns, we had 400, 600 horses that you could ride, shoot off of, that knew a camera, stood still, did whatever you wanted to do with them. They're all gone. There's nothing like that anymore. Nobody like Bob Steele. This was a gentleman. This was a fine, fine man. Everybody loved him. No, he was what I saw up on the screen for sure. So was Don Redberry. These were good guys. These were cowboys. Absolutely. Tom Mix came to Hollywood with bullet holes in him. That's a real cowboy. They were great people. There's no better cowboy than Joel McCrea. Has a ranch. Every movie you ever see, every Western you ever see Joel McCrea in, that's his horse. First of all, Baldy. He rode Baldy in almost all his movies. And he was the number one idol that I always wanted to meet and thought I never would or ever would get to work with him. And sure enough, God, I think I was doing Emergency at the time. My producer, John Champion, got Joel McCrea to come out of retirement to do a little movie called Mustang Country. We were going to shoot it up in Canada. Four people in the whole show. He picked myself, Patrick Wayne, Duke's youngest son, and Joel and a little Indian kid. And we did the movie. And I got to spend close to a month with Joel and Francis D. up in Canada. It's the best time of my life that you can imagine. What a man, what a gentleman, and what a sweet guy he was. Yeah. We never had anything like that in my time. Maybe back in, Robert Taylor's time at MGM or something when they had those stock contract things, somebody did that. Chuck, I said, taught me how to draw a gun. Didn't take very long. I wanted to do it. I had the feel for it. Taught me, of course, to ride the horse and all that. But it's an interesting thing because people from New York or different parts of the country would come to do a Western, like Bruce Dern, a lot of those actors that did work on Laramie, Warren Oates. Bruce Dern tells a great story because 32 Westerns going at prime time, so everybody was going to work in a Western. But when you walked into the casting director's office or the producer, he would say, "Can you ride a horse?" And the actor would say, "Well, not really." Next, So you would say, "Sure, I can ride." Bruce Dern tells the story, and he couldn't spell horse. The producer said, "Can you ride?" He said, "Like the wind." Got the part. Laramie fell off the horse 6 times the first day. So did Warren Oates. I mean, it was a wreck. You couldn't believe it, some of these guys. But they did so many Westerns that they learned how to ride. Pretty good.
And like you said,
Dennis Patrick. And he was a character actor, and he did quite a few Laramies and wagon trains and became a good friend. But the very first day I ever met him, came on the set of Laramie. I happened to be sitting, I was out in the back lot by the ranch, and I was sitting in my chair reading a script, and I saw this new actor walk onto the set, and he walked up to our head wrangler, Richie Brim, and I overheard this conversation. He said, "You're the head wrangler, Richie Brim," and he said, "Yes." He said, "I have to tell you," he said, "I'm not a very, very good horseman. So if you could possibly put me on a horse that's not too rough or whatever." We had a horse named Buttercup that we kept in the barn all the time for people just like that. I mean, a baby could ride on this horse without any problems. So, and I knew immediately that Richie was going to go get Buttercup. And he said, "Stand still, I got a horse for you right now." And he went in the barn, he saddled Buttercup, and he brought Buttercup out. I still haven't talked to this man or anything. I'm only 20 feet away. And he said, "All right, step up into the saddle on me. You'll like this horse." And he put his foot up, and I said, "Rich, you're not going to put him on dynamite." And he jumped back, fell on the ground. But he was a great guy. He loved it. But that's where my dressing room was. And the reason it was called Whiskey Row is because it was Ward Bond, Terry Wilson, Frank McGrath, John Smith, myself, and Lee Marvin. And yeah, absolutely. Across from us were 2 huge dressing rooms, one for Rock Hudson and one for Tony Curtis. I mean, they were the biggest stars at Universal at that time, and they were directly across the street. Yeah, it's very interesting. before Laramie and before Riverboat. And this is probably 1958. I was starting to get a little hot in Hollywood. Got a part here, a good part here, a western here, a western there. And fan magazines were the big thing in those days. You know, if you remember Photoplay and 15 fan magazines. So I got invited one time to go on a hayride with people like Yvette Mimeo and Fabian and a bunch of people like that. And I met Burt Reynolds. This is the first time Burt and I met each other, and I had a flask of bourbon in my pocket, and I met Burt, and Burt and I didn't want to ride on the hay wagon. We wanted horses, So we went and we said, "Can we ride horses?" And the guy said, "Yeah, sure. You guys can ride along with the hay wagon, and we'll take pictures and everything." Well, Burt and I killed that little flask that I had. And we wound up jumping from the horse onto the hay wagon and doing, all kinds of crazy stuff like this. And then they had a little party afterwards. And Burt and I became very close friends. And Burt said to me, he said, "You know what?" He says, "Within a year from now, you and I are each going to have a television series." And I looked at him and said, "Are you nuts? Who would give us a television series?" On the same day that Riverboat started, Laramie started, and we had lunch together on the Universal lot. I got hired as a dancer to do a picture called Latin Lovers with Ricardo Montalban and Lana Turner. And came on the set the first day to start rehearsing a dance number, and Lana and Ricardo came in. Ricardo came in and introduced himself to, I think there was 6 of us, 6 guys and 6 girls. Introduced himself to all of us, and we introduced to him. The next morning when he came on the set, he remembered every one of our names. Came around, and I thought, this is incredible. I want to be like this guy. This is class. And I didn't see him again for probably 3 years until he was on a Riverboat. And when I walked on the set, he remembered me from, I came to see Burt one day or something. I was doing Laramie. He remembered me from dancing as a dancer in that movie. Wow. Now we're doing Laramie, and he's doing Riverboat, and we're getting up there a little bit. And again, big fan magazine stuff. And they're going to have this big party at Johnny Mathis's house in Beverly Hills. And Burt and I are invited to it. It's going to be a big photo play type of thing. Yvette Mimeo again. Fabian is there. We know who Fabian is. Fabian hasn't got the faintest idea who Burt Reynolds and Robert Fuller are anyway. So we're having a great time. Troy Donahue was there. It's a big Hollywood type of thing. So all of a sudden, Burt comes over and he says, come here, look, I want you to see something. I said, what? So we're going around the corner, a little room like this. Fabian is sitting at a chair, playing the guitar and singing. There's about 20 girls just laying on the floor like this in front of Fabian watching this going on. And we looked, and we said, shit. I said, let's kidnap him. And Burt says, go, let's go. Let's take him. We'll run in there. We'll grab him, throw him over our shoulder, run outside, put him in the car, and drive off. And I said, go. We ran in. We grabbed Fabian, threw him over our shoulder, ran out. He's screaming like a kid. He has no idea who we are. Threw him in the car and drove away. And finally, he was scared to death. We finally calmed him down and explained what was going on and brought him back. But that's Burt. He likes to do stuff like that.
Yeah, that's Burt.